Raising Janico.
Hi, my name is Natalia. In the last episode, I shared a few research findings from different perspectives on benefits of spending time outdoors with our kids. And today we'll take a creative spin and share some fun ideas of spending time outdoors with your children while learning about nature. I have a guest today, my friend Krista, who is a fellow nature enthusiast parent. She has two young boys, ages 4 and 5. She is a former elementary school teacher and has been leading amazing nature events in the community in the last 2 years, for which I am very grateful on behalf of the whole community. Into your suggestions, would you please share with other parents why spending time outdoors with your kids is so important for you, and what benefits do you see in your own kids?
Sure. So I've had a love for nature since I was little, and it's been a place for me to find calm, to find connection to the world around me, and just for enjoyment. And so I always knew that I kind of wanted that for my kids. When I became a parent, in reality, I turned into a bit of kind of a germophobic mom, and I was very worried about things. And my first experience taking my kids out for this kind of nature play was going to a nature class, and we played with mud. It was just mud, pure mud. And my kids dove in, of course, and they were covered with from head to toe with mud. And my reaction was, oh my gosh, like all the germs, and it's, you know, they have dirt and mud all over them. And it really kind of surprised me that I reacted that way, but really what I took away from it at the end of the day was that I didn't need to do this less, I needed to do this more, and that this needed to be a part of my boys' childhood. So that's really where it started, and just doing research and learning about it as an educator and a nature lover, I've found so many benefits. So some of them that are my favorites are just general mental health, resilience, emotional regulation, creativity, innovation, not to mention social and physical benefits. I love watching my boys play outside, and they get something in their head that they want to do, and they just practice this kind of grit and perseverance, and it comes from this intrinsic motivation to play. It's not something that comes from me telling them what to do or someone else telling them what to do. And I just think that intrinsic motivation can really take them far in today's world, not to mention the ability to be just fully creative and innovative in their play and have kind of unstructured time for them to kind of make their own decisions about their play. Something that sticks with me is from one of my favorite mentors, Mr. Rogers. And he says that play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning for children, but actually play is their learning. Play is serious work for children. It's really the work of childhood.
So what will you show us today? I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so today I just brought some different materials. These are kind of tried and true activities that we've loved in the past. Just a couple ideas to share, to possibly ignite a spark in some of you out there to kind of get your kids outside and exploring this summer.
Thank you. Well, let's get into it.
One of our favorite themes for the summer is definitely water and sand and dirt and mud play. There are infinite ideas to do with this theme, but here are some of our favorites. So one of the things you can do very simply is just bring some nets. This is just a strainer. I have some different containers, and these are just for kind of filling with water from the creek and seeing what kind of creatures might get caught in there, or anything that you might see that's part of the creek to collect with or collect creatures. This is a scoop you can scoop in the water and see all the different rocks and things that come up from the bottom. Some books that kind of go along with creek exploration that I found in my collection. One about tadpoles and frogs, one about river otters.
But they could be any books, really, right?
It could be any book, yeah. There's so many books that go along. You can bring a book along to kind of just spark your creativity, or you can read the book and then look around in nature for some of the things you saw in the books. So always a good idea. Something else that is really kind of a staple in our nature play is this kind of a little mud kitchen kit. So I just went to the thrift store and got some kitchen items. This is one of the favorites. We make cupcakes, mud cupcakes. The kids love to mash and stir, so really just a big bin to stir in, a big pot, and some kitchen utensils to make cupcakes and cakes and any kind of mud creation that you can think of.
And I love how you added spices. You also brought some spices.
Yes, sometimes it's really fun. I think it's a good kind of sensory experience to bring just some lavender, cinnamon or something and sprinkle it onto the cakes and pies that they're making, and they really feel like they're bakers, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Another idea, if you have access to a body of water, or even you could do this, anywhere that you can.
In a puddle.
Yeah. Find water, but you can make boats out of recycled materials. So everybody has recycled materials laying around, and so this is just a little container that will float with a little flag. We used corks. These will float, and then other recycled materials. So empty containers can work good for pontoons. Spoons can be attached for rudders on a boat. Really, the ideas are endless. And then if it's possible to get in the water and have a boat race, that's also fun. Another idea is if you don't have access to a creek, like this beautiful one that we're sitting by here, you can actually make your own sensory bin along the lines of a little pond or a creek or a river. So this is just a tiny example. If you have a bigger bin, you can do that too. But I just put some rocks in there and sticks, and we've got a little frog, pretend frog, but a snake in our creek. But especially the little ones love to just kind of splash around in here and play with the animals and imagine that they're kind of playing in a pond. So that's an idea if you don't have a creek near you. And something else really fun is the last thing is I got these gutters at Home Depot, and you make water slides out of them. So if you have little creatures, you can even just do things you find in nature, whatever, and you can find an incline and a bucket to pour some water down, and you just send the little frog friends down the water slide, and the kids have a lot of fun with that.
This is a great STEM activity because you can, if you have a few of them, you can stack them together and figure out how they flow. My kids had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I have more of these at home, and we stick them together to make a longer slide and everything. And something else with water is just sinking and floating. I mean, this is a science concept that kids can play with and start to understand. Another favorite theme of ours in the summer, especially when it's really sunny, is playing with sunlight and shadows. There's lots of different ideas for that. I just brought a couple to show. I found these just at a toy store. It's solar paper, so if you lay this out in the sun with something laying on top of it, like a leaf or anything really, it'll actually make the shape. The paper will darken, and you'll see the shape of what you put on there. So that's kind of fun to play with. Something else that we like to do is we just take sidewalk chalk and we make shadow shapes. So we go out on the sidewalk and we either just outline our shadow, and then we come back a little while later and see, did it grow, did it shrink? Another idea is to just make funny shapes with your body and try to trace them, so that gets the kids moving too, which is fun and good for them. You can also trace shadows on paper, so you can go around outside and get maybe the shadow of a tree or something that's growing and sit there and kind of trace it and appreciate the shadow. We like to play with prisms as well, so if you take this and put it up to a white piece of paper or a white sheet like you see behind me, I can make rainbows kind of see it there. And then another fun thing, also a book about rainbows if you want to enhance that topic. And then another thing we do is I just bring all sorts of blocks outside, and we find a good place where the sun is shining, and we make different structures. Just let the kids build whatever they want and kind of look and see what shadows it makes when you build. I have some bigger blocks at home. These are smaller blocks, but really anything they can build with, and then just kind of see what shadows it makes. So just kind of exploring and playing with sunlight and shadows.
Very STEM again, actually.
Yes. All this is really related to learning, but the cool thing about it is that the kids don't necessarily know that they're learning. They're just playing and having fun. Another theme that we love in the summertime, because there's lots of them, is insects. Hunting for little tiny creatures. We have basically exploration materials, so binoculars, magnifying glasses, although you do want to be careful not to set the bugs on fire when you're using the magnifying glass. Just a little word of warning. A net. We even made our own binoculars. We don't have them at home. Of course, these don't really work, but the kids love to play with them and have fun with them. A little bug catcher, and we've got some pretend bugs in there, but we've had lots of live bugs in there as well.
Catch and release, right?
Catch and release, yeah. So this activity I just wanted to mention too is a really good way to teach empathy for your kids. It's really hard for little kids to take something so tiny and take really good care of it. And it's a really good lesson for them to kind of see if they can care for this tiny creature and why this tiny creature is important as well. This is another idea that I had one time, was we talk about pollinators, and we made little just kind of butterflies and bees and put them on a stick, and the kids can go around and kind of pretend to pollinate the flowers, or, you know, make their butterfly fly around from flower to flower. You can do lots of different insects with this idea. We've made spider webs. This is just a tiny example. We've also made really big spider webs in trees with lots of yarn, and actually had a real spider visitor come one time to our spider web, which was kind of cool. This is a worm hotel. So they were digging around and finding worms and little critters, and we made a little house. We put just some dirt and rocks, and make sure to put a little grass in there, and so they can kind of have some food and a little water to keep it moist. I wouldn't recommend keeping them in here for more than a couple days. They kind of need their freedom, but it's kind of fun for the kids to do that and wonder what their worms and their critters are doing inside the hotel.
I think we're doing this one today.
Yeah?
I love it.
It's really easy. You just have a jar at home and you just go outside and fill it up. You don't need anything special for that. So, and just a couple different books that we found over time. There's tons of books about bugs. You can just get kind of a bug identification book and go around and try to hunt for things and see what they are. This is a really good story to read, fiction story. There's just, lots of different things. So just getting out there and kind of seeing what little critters live in the forest. This is probably one of my favorite activities, and you can really do this in different seasons. It doesn't have to just be summer, but it's a great time to do it because we have berries and we have colors and we have flowers. But what we like to do is make paint from nature. So just looking around and kind of noticing all the colors around, especially in the summer, and seeing how we can use them. I mean, you can tie in so many things to this, obviously, history and things that people used to do before we had paint and all these things. So, but you know, you can use a lot of different materials. One of the favorites is berries. So you can find berries around in nature, but just make sure you know what kind of berry it is before you're squishing it and playing with it. As long as it's a safe berry, and you can mash that up. Of course, dirt is a really good brown color. Grass and dandelions you can actually use just by themselves and rub them on a piece of paper. Makes a really pretty yellow. And grass, if you get kind of a little more moist grass, it works a little better. You kind of have to really, this is a little drier, but you can see how it colors right on the paper. So you can do that, or you can take a little bit of water, and I mean, the kids love to do this just by itself. just to smash and mash and muddle. So that's really an activity all in itself, but you just, add a little water. I brought a little masher from the kitchen, and you just kind of let them squish and mash, and you can kind of see how it starts to turn, the color starts to come out. Of course, the kids will just mix everything together and come up with their own color. Put a little bit of water in all these and just kind of see what colors you come up with. The greens take a little more mashing to get the color out of them, but it's really just kind of a big experiment to see what you can get color out of and how you can paint it on the paper. Like I said, it kind of takes a little more mashing, but you can see a little light pink hue, and if you want to, you can add spices like paprika or turmeric. This is a really bright yellow color. This creates kind of a brownish red, and mix those up and make a work of art. And a book that I kind of like to tie in sometimes is just a book about berries. So we talk about where the berries grow and that the berries are here in the summer.
Well, Krista, thank you so much for sharing this amazing activities. I think they will spark so much imagination, play, and learning, and I hope you all will enhance your summer with these activities. This is it for today's episode. Please, if you like this video, please share with the parents. If you would like to share, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The name is Raising Jen Eco. Enjoy the summer. Bye-bye. Bye.
Raising Jen Eco.